I was born Sarah Ellen Woolens, and I was born on December the 31st of 1934. I was born at home in out Lucas Street in Oxford, Pennsylvania, on a farm. But the doctors came out to the houses then.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Do you remember would you know the doctor's name or anything?
Well, I would think it would be Dr. Wilson, because I know he delivered Dale, and I think he probably delivered me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. My father was Dwight Orville Woolens, and my mother was Mary Helen McMichael. My father was born in Cheyenne, Wyoming.
What kind of farm did you grow up on, Mama?
It was I don't remember that farm at all. I just know that's where I was born.
Yeah. So your family didn't stay on for too long.
My father, it was my uncle and aunt's farm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Betsy and Uncle Watson owned the farm, and Mom and Dad lost their home in the Depression, and so they moved up there and worked. Dad worked as a farmhand for a while, and then I was born there, and then they didn't stay. I don't know how long they were there, but then they moved down here to outside of Louisville, and lived on a farm there. And I don't remember that place either. And then Dale was born when we moved up to the Yerkes place, and that's where I start remembering things. So I would have probably been around 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first memory is at the Yerkes place, and I was probably 3 or 4 then. And I remember one day I went to find my father. I thought he was in the cornfield, and I went to hunt him, and I got lost.
In the cornfield?
Yeah. And they thought I was running away from home or something. I don't know what, but I really was just looking for Dad. So I wasn't very big. I was too little to be out there by myself.
Right.
Somebody found me.
How long were you lost for?
Probably not as long as it seemed.
Right.
Seemed like a long time. But I remember a lot of things that happened at the Yerkes place when we were little. Several, I guess Mary Alice and Sonny both had scarlet fever. And Mom was protecting Dale and I from it, and we weren't supposed
When
to
they
be in the room.
quarantined you couldn't go out until they lifted quarantine.
Mm-hmm.
But so she had, she put papers down, and so she threw them out the window. And Dale and I went down. We were looking at the papers. we didn't make out so good. I guess we got the scarlet fever too.
You got it too?
As I remember that.
Yeah.
And when there, we were all. Dale was born there too. So, and then we had a cousin, Frida, that lived with us. She was Mother's brother's child, and her mother had died, and Mother took her. And they never adopted her, but they raised her from the time she was an infant.
Mm-hmm.
And there she's been her cousin, but she was raised with us until she got out of high school, and then she went out on her own. Yeah.
And what kind of farm was that exactly?
They did everything.
Everything.
Yeah, they had cows.
And crops. And,
Yeah.
oh,
Well, at the Yerkes place, we didn't have any cows.
You just lived in a tenant house.
Yeah, we lived in a tenant house, and Dad did work for different people, and then he went to, I think it was Bainbridge, and worked. Back during, that was in the beginning of the,
That was the beginning of World War II.
yeah, probably around 42.
okay.
And,
Your dad painted, didn't he?
yeah, he did a little
Aberdeen?
bit of everything, yeah. We moved from the Yerkes place just down over the hill to another place, and it was a farm too, and we just rented it.
And this was your immediate family?
And my mother and father and those 4 kids, Mary Alice and Sonny and Dale and I, and we lived there for several years. And when I was still at the Yerkes place, I started first grade, and I went to Buena Vista School. And then we moved down to Jenny Place. I went to Union School. And then we lived there for quite a few years, had a covered bridge right down below us, and a lot of fun there. Had neighbors that were good friends, and the neighbor girl that lived above us was a year older than I was, and she had big sisters, and they had high heels, and she would snitch 2 pairs of high heels and sneak them down, and we'd wear them and walk down through the covered bridge, and we'd leave them in the covered bridge, and then we'd go on up and visit the girl that lived up at the hill. And then we'd come back down, put on our high heels, and go home. But they talked about that when they took a tour of Elk Township. They were talking about the two girls that used to leave their high heels in the bridge. And then we moved from there to, well, there's where Mother and Dad started farming on their own again. They bought cows and started a dairy up again. So then we heard of the farm up near Oxford, right outside of Oxford, called the Mina Farm, and which is right above where Jim lives now. And they wanted somebody on the shares to do the work, and then you'd share the expenses and the profits. And so we lived there for quite a few years, and we were there until 1950, and Mom and Dad bought the farm in here. And so we moved here, and I went to Avongrove School for my last 2.5 years, and graduated from Avongrove. I was in first grade. I had she was Miss Worth at that time. She was Alberta. When we were kids, and when Sonny was able to drive,
They went every other night.
The four of us would get in the front of the truck. We had a truck at the time, and we would go to movies. And we had theaters in Rising Sun, 2 in Oxford, 1 in West Grove, 1 in Kennett. So there was always movies playing. It wasn't expensive to go to the movies, so we were there every week. And
Is there anyone you remember in particular was your favorite? Or?
I just
When the war was over.
Yeah, I remember the first movie that Royce was Gone with the Wind, that I remember specifically, and I also remember the night the war was over. Sonny and I went to the movies. We rode the bicycle that night. That was before.
You're
he could
lucky to
drive.
be here.
And they shut the movie down in the middle, and their cars were blowing their horns, and everybody was just running all around town, and there was just so much excitement. And so we just went out, and Sonny kept saying, "Hang on, we're going home." So we rode the bicycle home with cars, running past us. But he and I don't quite agree on the movie that we were seeing that night, because they cut it off in the middle. I thought it was My Darling Clementine, but he thought it was something else, so I'm not sure. See, I think that was the first time we dated. We went up there, right?
The first date?
I don't know what.
Well, the first time we went out as two couples, Mary Alice and I went with Jimmy and a boy from church, and we didn't know who was supposed to be with who. They just asked us if we wanted to go to the movies.
Yeah.
So it ended up a little.
Pick later.
Yeah, it was kind of. They sent the other fellow in to pick me up. He was driving, so then the other guy came in to the door.
I didn't think you needed to land around to get in the car.
I guess I'm supposed to be with him. So.
Yeah, she's from the back hills, boy. She don't know how to get in the car.
And so then we went down to Newark. Mary Alice was working at Newark Department Store at that time. And so we picked her up after work. And so.
We were going to go to Harrington to races, but it rained on us going down, and they called them off.
Is that what it was? And then we were going to go we went to the drive-in theater. We ended up going to the drive-in, didn't we? Yeah.
Wasn't it, Oakland?
But then after that, when we got home, and in a week or two,
Let's straighten this out.
Jimmy called. And I thought he wanted to talk to Mary Alice, but he asked for me, I believe, as I remember correctly. And that was the first time we went out, I think. But we did go to the dances that, I can't think of the name of where they had the big bands.
Pottstown?
Yeah, but it had a name.
Sunnybrook.
Sunnybrook, yeah.
What was the act?
It was mostly just bands and dancing.
Was there a specific band on that night?
We went up about 3 different times that I can remember. We saw God Lombardo, and was Sammy Kaye one of them?
Yeah.
I think it was Sammy Kaye.
Sammy King.
Yeah. And I think there was a third one. I can't remember who it was.
Ralph
different nights we
Flanagan,
would
the
go.
Dorsey Brothers.
Right.
Yeah, we did see them.
And then each band had a singer that traveled with the group, male and female. And looking back on it, it was really a good time in life.
All the way up to this road, coming up on Calton Spring Bridge Road. We couldn't get up the hill there. And so I told Jimmy I would walk. I said, I can just walk home just straight down the road. Well, of course, he wouldn't let me do that, so we just kept up until we finally got through. Guess
Had
Mom
no
was-
faith in me. No faith
I just go
whatsoever.
think I'm never going to get home. Mom's going to be flipping out on me here. But she wasn't mad. I think she was worried that it was snowing and we hadn't gotten home yet. 'Cause I don't think we knew it was snowing.
No, we didn't know till we came.
went to-
Was that was the one that Betty and Jean
Betty and
went
Jean
with
went with
us?
us that night, yeah.
This is one of the music acts,
Yeah,
the dances.
Mhm.
Well, did you dance?
yeah.
Was it
Yeah.
swing dancing or just whatever you?
Whatever they did.
Yeah.
We didn't do too much jitterbugging. We just
I never was a jitterbugger. I couldn't get everything moving at one time.
But that was good times. Oh, we dated for what, 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3 years. I actually met at church. I mean, I knew who he was at Oxford School. We were there at the same time, but he was 2 years older than I was, so you know, the upperclassmen didn't notice the younger guys. But when we moved down here, and Mary Alice and I started going to church.
The New London
New
Presbyterian.
London Presbyterian Church. And he'd been there all his life. And so then that's when the two guys got up enough nerve to ask us to go out. And from then on,
Mm-hmm.
Christmas of
On Papa's birthday.
well, we went shopping to get a ring. It took me so I could pick out my own ring. We went to Foley Broski in Wilmington and got the ring, and I wore it home and took it in and showed my mom, and then he said I had to give it back to him because it was supposed to be a Christmas present. So
Never forgave me for that.
so I didn't get to wear it until Christmas.
Yeah, and then New Year's, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, she
Then I
had New
was
Year's. She had New Year's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and that was really touchy. I thought maybe the whole thing was going to blow up. But it just,
Yeah, right. What year was that?
that was been about 50.
53,
About 50?
50 no, I graduated in 52, so it would have been
So
around
that
50,
Christmas.
53 probably.
And then what year did you actually get married? How long was the
54.
engagement?
54.
So you were engaged
We
for a
were
year?
For about a year, yeah. When I graduated, I started working at Pendel Supply Company in Kenneman, and it was they had feeds and lumber and all kinds of stuff, and I was bookkeeper there. And enjoyed it very much and met people that we're still friends with. We don't get to see them too often, but we still keep in contact with them. And I worked there until Jeannie was on the way, and then that was then I didn't work until after Roger was born, and when he went into school the first year, then I started working at Campbellsville School. And I worked there for almost 13 years.
And then when you guys got married, where did you live?
We lived over on 841. There's a couple over there that had this big house. It's still there now. It's a
Bed and breakfast.
bed and breakfast now.
I don't think it is now. But
But there was an older couple. It looked just like the lady looked just like Granny from the Beverly Hillbillies. She's a little tiny woman with glasses. Their name was Cox, and they had an apartment there. And the people that were there were moving out, so it worked out very good. We moved into the apartment, and we lived there from September through the following Memorial Day, and then by that time. The farmhouse, they had fixed it so we could move into half of the farmhouse, and we moved over there. So we lived there until,
That was a rental?
no, it
Was
was
part
part
of
of the deal, a farm deal.
farming.
When Jimmy's uncle died, and he stayed on and took over the work, and that was part of the deal that they would furnish the house, half of the house for us. So Aunt Marion the widow lived in one side of the house, and we lived in the other. It was a big house. And then that's where Jeannie and, well, everybody was born when we lived there at the house, all four of our kids. We were married in 54. Jeannie was born in 56. And then Jim arrived in 58, and Rich arrived in 59. And then Roger came in January of '61. Jeannie was a good baby. She was very happy. She was a bouncy little thing. And then one other interesting thing that happened while we lived on that farm.
Snowstorm.
Snowstorm. We had a terrible snowstorm, and it was before Jim was born, and it was right before Jim was born. I was pretty big, and they couldn't. The roads were just clogged. They stopped, and the school bus stopped. It couldn't go any further, so we had kids came to our house, which at that time was married to, not to Aunt Minnie, but to his first wife, and
Betty.
their kids came. Their 2 kids came and stayed overnight at our house, and Betty's kids got off the bus and stayed with us, and then a man that worked in Newark someplace that we knew
Avon.
casually.
Avon.
He stopped. He couldn't go any further, and he came up and he stayed overnight. Who else was there that night?
It's
Anyway, we had a full
house.
house that night. Yeah, and the next morning they came down. I think with the
Manure spreader.
manure spreader and picked up the kids, Jake's kids and Betty's and Jean's kids. In fact, then when Jim came along, things got a little busier. Rich came along. We had a lady that helped me when I came home from the hospital, and she thought she said, "You're never going to raise that boy, Jim," because he went out to the barnyard and he just kept her running all the time, and he got stuck in the barnyard. She had to climb over the fence and get him. And
She was a tough old
no,
girl.
she was
Only
upset.
as big
She
as a
said, "You're
minute."
never going to raise that boy."
Yeah.
And then one time I guess it was he and Rich, went for a walk unbeknownst to us, and they walked up to Aunt Betty's house, which they could do, but we couldn't find him. And the mailman came back, and he saw him, and he picked him up and brought him home. So they always tell the story that when they were coming up this driveway, they were saying, "I'll take Dad, you take Mom," because they thought Mom would be a little easier on than Dad would be.
Was that true?
No.
Probably. The farm was sold. So we rented the house from, Jim Adams bought that farm. And so we rented the house from him for, about a year, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And then meantime, we built this house. And we moved in here in '68.
But who owned this property?
This was Nan and Pop's. My mother and father owned this property.
And they lived back.
Yeah, they lived in the big farmhouse. November of '68, we moved in. Then we we had a card group that we were in with all the young couples around.
Card party.
Yeah, we met like once a month and had this card party. And it was Bob and Bebe McMullen and Janet and
McMillan.
Glenn McMullen.
Millen.
Millen, yeah, okay, Bob and Bebe McMillan. And Glenn and
Just
Janet
a face.
Wilkinson, and Mary Ann and Lukens Hutchison, and Louise and Roland Hearn, and Bev and Wills Lyle, and Ben and Doris Stolfus were with us for a while, and then they dropped out. And then I belonged to a women's card group, and we met about once a month too. But it was the men stayed in with the kids that night, and not the same group though.
Mm-hmm.
This group I was with Aunt Betty, and there was a whole bunch from the New London area.
What did you play?
We played pinochle. No, not pinochle. We played pinochle in our club, but the women played
Hassenpfeffer.
canasta.
Hassenpfeffer.
Hassenpfeffer. We played that in the with
What
the
is
men.
that?
It's called Hassenpfeffer.
It's almost like pinochle.
We didn't go out very often and get babysitters, but once in a great while we did. And I remember one night we had Diney, Jimmy's cousin, came up to stay with the kids, and she was very. At that point, she let the kids, took them for a ride. I don't think she had her license yet.
In
did
my
she?
truck.
She put the kids in the car, and they
Who are
knew
you
we weren't
gonna
supposed to be
embarrass?
doing that. Well,
Who are you gonna
Donnie,
embarrass?
she knows. We've told her this. And but she told them not to tell. And so when we come home, Jeannie knew they shouldn't have been doing it, so she told me. So, but that, you know, those kind of things would happen, and you didn't know what they were doing. But and well, that was we had at that time we had a big dog. What was it? Not
The German Shepherd?
no.
Oh,
well,
no,
it
the
was,
German,
but he was a huge dog, and Wilson had gotten him someplace, I think, and
Lotweiler.
what I don't know what it was now, but I had baked a cake and set it up on top of the freezer to cool, and he ate the whole cake.
Couldn't even tell there was ever a cake on just crumbs and all.
When Dale and Pat moved to Florida, we went down there one time to visit them, and Mary Alice and Mother was going to go down, my mother, and stay with them for some time, and so somebody had to take her. So Mary Alice and I were going to go and take her, but we wanted Jimmy to go too, because it was right after Christmas, and he was on vacation then, and of course he didn't think he wanted to go, so we said, well, when we get home, we'll just tell him we bought him a ticket. And
They liked him.
so when we came home, we told him, well, we bought you a ticket too. And he said, oh, you did? Well, I guess that means I have to go. So we hadn't bought the ticket, but we went back and got it when he said he would go.
Deceiving.
But we had a night, we flew down, and
Cold. I never was as cold in my life as I was that night.
it was very windy out on the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You flew? Is that what you said?
We
flew
down to
Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. And they weren't too far from Jacksonville, and they met us.
And they weren't too far into Florida. It's the first thing you hit when you get
But
off the
there
plane.
was snow. There was some snow there.
And we didn't have clothes. We were going to warm climate, man. We didn't take winter clothes.
dress
Oh
warm at
God,
that
it's
time.
almighty
But
cold.
Dale borrowed somebody's van so we could take Mom, because at that time she couldn't walk that well, and they put her in a wheelchair, and Dale could take the van and take her. But we didn't have it stabilized. Of course, then
Wonder we didn't kill half of them.
we were sitting in the back. I don't know whether you were in the front with Dale.
I was in the front with Dale and
Mary
Nan.
Alice and I were. No, Nan was in the,
Nan was kind of between us and you. And
well, anyway, Dale took a corner too short, and Mom upset with
dumped her right there.
wheelchair and everything. So we were, trying to get her up, and she kept saying, I'm all right, I'm all right. But we're just very proud of our family, and all four of them have been great, and we're happy with their marriages, and love our grandchildren very much. And